The important thing is you're
Should be
here.
ready to go.
Okay, we're good to go. All right, I'll call this meeting to order at 10:03 on January 23rd. I'll start by reading the land acknowledgement. City of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hadawandawunk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The City of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Before we go any further, are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, I'll move on to item number 4 of the agenda, which is the adoption of the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda? Thank you, Linda and Joe. I'll ask the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that is passed. We'll move to item 5 on the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes from our November 7th, 2025 meeting? Thank you, Councillor O'Hare and Joe. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that is passed. Thank you. All right, we're going to start with correspondence, agenda item number 6. We'll start with the meeting on November 18th. City Council passed Memorandum CLC 2525 that Council directs staff to report on options to allow for the inclusion of boulevard gardens, pollinator gardens, and fall and winter naturalized lawns in the City of Thorold. We'll be talking about this later in the agenda. So I'd ask that you hold any questions or comments till then. With that, I'll move on to item 6.2. Again, on the meeting on November 18th, 2025, City Council passed report CLK 1525 regarding council committees and boards policies, which is what Justin presented to us on our last meeting. Are there any questions or comments from committee members on this item at this point? Seeing none, we'll move on to 6.3. On January 12th, 2026, the rail trail connection from Marlet's Road to the Welland Canal Trail project completed a Schedule B municipal class environmental assessment for an active transportation connection. So this sounds like a good initiative. More information about this trail extension can be found in the meeting materials. Are there any questions or comments on this? Joe, I'm not sure if you want to say anything about this one.
Just a brief one. It's I'm glad that the study's finally over and it looks like something's actually going to happen. It's not the route that I would have picked if I was in charge of those things, but it's nice to see it's going to get completed anyway.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll move on to 6.4. Again, at the meeting on January 13th, 2026, City Council passed report DS 226 regarding the official plan consolidation and gaps analysis for official plan conformity, final report. I think we should spend a few minutes talking about this one. There's a lot of information, a lot of documentation that's found with the meeting materials. I would like to just mention a few of the highlights here. So one of the things that I picked out was that by mid-2026, planning staff will consult with many of the advisory committees about their policy direction advice. So that's great to see that officially recorded and looking forward to that. However, the official plan 5-year review will not be completed until late 2027 at the earliest. I thought that was interesting to see as well. It's a long time. What's going to be challenging is that in some situations, such as climate policy, the region has set higher standards and targets to achieve than the provincial minimum standard. So this is going to be interesting as staff and council will need to deliberate on which standards and targets are appropriate for the city of Thorold. Further to that, since the regional policy was drafted and approved a couple of years ago, there have been significant provincial changes that have been introduced, supposedly, in order to speed up growth and build housing faster. So the official plan policy needs to also consider those changes when finalizing the 5-year plan. It's good to also see, though, that there will be public consultation and council input into those discussions. So that's great to see. Certain policies such as natural heritage, natural and man-made hazard, energy conservation, air quality, and climate change are all key policy sets of the 5-year review that will and must be reviewed and revised as part of the anticipated next 2 years of review work. So again, that's good to see that there are this is specifically called out, and the gap analysis recommendation is that the Thorold official plan be updated to incorporate a climate change mitigation and adaptation policies as part of a dedicated section within the official plan. So that's what I saw as all relevant to this committee and good news that it's being raised. We'll see where it lands, of course, but it's good that these things are up for discussion. Are there any other comments or questions from anybody regarding the work on the official plan? Okay.
Mark, it's Brian.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
I just thought I'd speak, if I could, for a second to the time issue that you pointed out. There are a multiple of different background studies that we have to do to inform the official plan 5-year review. GAPS was just the first of them. We have a Port Robinson subwatershed study that has to happen.
Right.
We have some growth projections, and I think the studies were actually listed in the report. So it's kind of a sequencing thing. So we'll consult early and we'll consult often, but we've got some of this study work that needs to happen, and then the 5-year review can kick into earnest. And of course, in the middle of that, we have an election campaign. So the timing can't land, say, with a final recommendation going to council in October or November or December. It just won't work. So it's extended out partly because of the election and partly because of the upfront work that needs to happen with these other background studies.
Okay, thank you.
To be honest, I'm quite optimistic, thinking I'll have it finished by the end of 2027. So.
Okay, I appreciate that that input. It's easy to sit back and say, why does it take 2 years? But I understand there are a number of reports that have to go into this, and a lot of thought has to go into it, and the election. Thanks for that clarification.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to item 6.5. Again, referencing the January 13th City Council meeting, there was a motion passed that city staff be directed to develop a tree saving plan, policy, and procedures with the input and support of this committee. More information about this initiative can be found in the meeting materials. However, at a high level, I would say that the request is for the city to consider, when developing capital projects on city-owned lands, that they undertake to provide early access to complete and accurate information about the potential impact to trees before decisions are made, to help city councilors make those decisions. Councillor O'Hare, did you want to mention anything else on this topic?
Thank you, Chair. Just that the reason that it came about was, as everyone knows, we're undergoing a development of a parking lot behind the Center 50 Plus. And in the initial drawings and layouts of that parking lot, it was a little bit of a mix-up in not laying out all the mature trees that were surrounding the parking lot. So in the design, they didn't appear. There's three of them on the northern edge of the parking lot that are quite substantial trees. And in doing so, we perhaps possibly would have missed those, not knowing that they were there from the drawings, and then would have potentially lost them. Once it was pointed out, the city designers, engineers redesigned the parking lot, as most people know, and those trees were saved, and we were working around them. And that's where the inspiration came from. I just thought if there are developments in the future, then we should be very aware of the mature trees on the property, so that if there is a secondary means of designing around them, that should be looked at, and the trees, if potentially are able to be saved, can be saved. So I'm really grateful that that's going back, that everyone supported it, and that in the future we shouldn't be worried that we'll miss something like this.
Yes, thank you for that, and thank you for raising this at council. It's good to learn as we go to make sure that things like this don't get missed and trees get chopped down and people get upset and that would be an accident, right? So, okay, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments on this item? If not, I will move to section 7, committee business. We'll start with the working group updates and 7.1.1. Jacob, I see you here. Thank you very much. Can you please provide an update regarding plans for Earth Day 2026?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Morning, everyone. So yeah, as many of you are aware, this will be our third Earth Day event that we'll be hosting. This year we're planning on hosting it over at Canada Games Park, so we've been in discussion with them, just finalizing the details of the booking. That'll be for Saturday, April 25th is the planned event date, and from 11 to 3. We're thinking to push it back an hour later, just because in the past, when we did host it at the Thorold Arena, we were able to have access the night before to set up, but everything will be getting set up the morning of. So we're thinking just to push the start time of the event for the public back a little bit, just so vendors have enough time to get in there and set everything up in the morning. And then just to follow up on some other questions that Mark had, there is going to be a separate room over there for speakers, so that's a nice bonus of the facility there. They have a nice room upstairs that can be set up kind of for presentations, so there will be AV in there. People will be able to put their presentations on a projector screen or on a big TV screen, and it'll be a separate space, so any presentations going on that day won't be competing with the rest of the noise or activities going on the arena floor. So that'll be a nice benefit to moving over there for sure. The city won't have any tables and chairs over there, so the vendors are all having to bring their own things over there for this event. So yeah, it's a little bit different, but pretty much the same event as in the past, only moved to a new facility. So we're happy. We think we'll capture a bunch of Rock students hopefully coming to that, as well as maybe more St. Catharines residents, just being closer to the border of our two cities. As far as kind of other things about the event, it'll mostly be the same format where we'll have a group of vendors. We'll have some activities that'll be provided for kids through TCAG and the Thorold Library. So they've both agreed to help us with that again. And then, yeah, if there's any other kind of specific questions, anyone can jump in and ask, and I can help answer them for you as well too.
Okay, thanks, Jacob. Councillor O'Hare?
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Jacob. This is great news, Jacob. I know Councillor Longo suggested this a few years ago, and it's great to see it come to fruition. I just wanted to comment and congratulate you on scoring an additional room for the presentations, because that's always been a bit challenging. And Mr. Chair, you know that the sound in the arena was always challenging. So it's really wonderful that we can give them their own private room, and we should make sure we really advertise that. So as you said, it's upstairs to encourage people to get up there and enjoy the gifted speakers that we're going to have. So thanks for that, Jacob.
Thank you. And just to comment on that, we are thinking of kind of doing like a sign up ahead of time, just so to help drum up interest for the speakers, kind of a sign up sheet where people can sign up to the talk, and then that way we'll have an estimate of how many people might be attending each speaker. Obviously the room is limited to a certain size, but it should still comfortably sit 30 to 40 people in attendance if a speaker has that many people that want to come see them.
So on that subject, Jacob, you're saying a sign up that's in advance. How would that be done via the website or social media or?
Yeah, we might have, say, like a Google form where people can fill out and just say, interested in attending. Essentially just someone can leave their name as kind of a placeholder. We'll still have room likely for people to walk in day of, but if it does happen to get to the capacity of that room, at least that way we can let people know, spots are filling up fast. Make sure you sign up to secure your spot. I think just kind of more of a tactic to help encourage people to attend the speakers and make sure it's well known that people are going to be there delivering
Sure, and
speeches, keynotes on their topics.
sure, and if people just show up though and they're not aware of it, but they're on the floor with all the vendors, will there be some signage or advertising down there to make sure people understand who's speaking and at what time?
Yeah, we're planning a few directional boards for the event. So being a bigger facility, we want to make sure people are pointed in the right direction for everything. So basically kind of signs at the door that'll probably have speaker timelines on it, as well as kind of a map to where the vendors are. Just so people know if they're unfamiliar with the building, they know exactly where to go and kind of when to expect what. In addition to that, we'll probably also list out the times that, say, the children's activities will be starting. So if the library is going to be starting craft specifically at 11:30, we can list that on there too, so people kind of know if they need to move around, when they need to go to where they want to be.
Perfect. Courtney, do you have your hand up?
Oh, no, sorry. No,
Okay.
sorry, Chair.
I'm not sure what that symbol is. It looks like a high five. Okay, yeah, sorry, Jacob, you had mentioned so vendors need to bring their own tables and chairs. We had planned to have a booth there for ECBAC. Can we borrow tables and chairs from the city and move them ourselves over there, or what can we do? Because I don't have a booth.
Yep, we do have a few at the arena. So for ACBAC specifically, we could supply one and have it brought over from the arena.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're
So
welcome.
for everybody here, we will have a booth there. Our intention is to share information about what this advisory committee is all about, what we've accomplished in 2025, what we're looking to get done in 2026. We'll also have a short survey for residents to fill out who are interested, identifying what they believe that this team should be working on. Ratna and I have both volunteered to staff the booth. I'm wondering if anybody else is interested in joining us on that day. Nope. Okay. Sorry, Councillor O'Hara, you had a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just through you to Jacob. Jacob, could you possibly touch base with Natalie and see if we can connect with the other municipalities in Niagara to promote this? I mean, we're right beside St. Catharines. It'd be great to bring in some of their residents from Welland, Niagara Falls. So I think if people know about it, then we're more likely to get a larger audience.
Definitely, yes. Great idea. Thank you.
Okay. So for this event, the working group has arranged also for a couple of environmental groups to be there. 50 by 30 Niagara, who I believe was there a couple of years ago, and a new group, Seniors for Climate Niagara, will also be there in attendance, or sorry, having booths, that is. Let me just go through my questions, Jacob. I think you answered them all. And I will echo what Councillor O'Hara said. It's great to have a separate room for speakers. I think that'll make it much more enjoyable for both.
Definitely.
Okay, we can also, the working group will continue to work on helping, as required, helping Jacob to get some speakers. I'm thinking perhaps somebody from the NPCA might be interested. I'm not putting you on the spot, Stuart. We haven't talked at all about it, but wondering perhaps somebody from the NPCA or the Thorold Garden Club, Ontario Green, or even the Niagara region could be interested in talking about, boulevard gardens, pollinator gardens, rewilding initiatives, invasive species, or even biodiversity loss and climate change. So those are things that we're still working on. Joe, do you have a comment?
Yeah. I am at the moment committed to working on a table with another group. Having said, the other group isn't totally committed to having a table, which is why I didn't volunteer to spell you off. I will be there regardless. So if I get there and anybody needs to use the facilities or grab a coffee or anything, I'll be at the event.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Or the
Appreciate
other.
it. Okay. Are there any other questions or comments about Earth Day 2026? Go ahead, Jacob.
Just wanted to jump in there too. Joe, if you let me know that what the other group is, if they do commit, we can work to make sure that your booth is next to ECBAX as well too, just so it's convenient for you guys as well.
Yeah. We're having a meeting of sorts just after lunch today, and I'll find out whether or not the group is actually going to be attending.
Sounds good.
And Mark, I just have to look at all the things that I got on the agenda. I haven't got my day timer here, so.
It's okay, thank you. Yeah, if you're interested, just coming for a couple hours or something, then let me know.
Okay.
Thanks. All right, thanks, Jacob, for the update. Appreciate that, and looking forward to the event.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward, item 7.1.2. This is the long-term goals working group. As per previous discussions, we were very interested in getting involved with the city's official plans, so we've covered that off already. We're happy to hear that there will be an opportunity in the summer. The other thing that we're working on as part of this working group is a proposed guideline for city staff to use when completing the section on city reports, the environment and climate change impact section. So we're going to be talking about that in a couple of minutes. I'll just raise it here as that's one of the initiatives under this working group. Are there any other questions or comments regarding the long-term goals working group before we move on? If not, then we'll move to 7.1.3, greening Thorold. And just a refresher, the Greening Thorold Working Group was established to work on several initiatives, including a review and update of the city's existing tree list, as well as existing bylaws relating to boulevard and pollinator gardens, and plans to naturalize city property that's available for naturalization or rewilding. To date, we have provided the city with a list of recommended trees for boulevards and parks, as well as that could be used for private property. We've also provided some materials covering best practices for tree planting and maintenance, as well as a list of suitable plants for boulevard gardens and recommendations for bylaw updates to enable boulevard gardens, pollinator gardens, and fall/winter naturalized lawns. So I believe we're going to get an update from Courtney in a few minutes when we get to section 7.3 regarding the city's progress with those lists that we've been providing. So our next step for the Greening Thorold Working Group is to start looking with the city to review opportunities for planting trees and other vegetation on city-owned property. So that'll be we'll probably get going on that in February or perhaps March. Not sure at this point. Are there any other questions or comments? on the Greening Thorold initiative? If not, I'll move on. All right, so let's get into some of the details that I just highlighted. Section 7.2 is the proposed guideline for city staff to use when completing the environment and climate change impact section on city reports. So that you can find a proposal that we've just drafted, and it's part of the meeting materials. Just in summary, what we're trying to encourage is to have city staff view their work through an environmental lens or a climate change lens, considering not just near-term impacts of their projects, but also understanding how decisions today will affect future generations. So our guideline is suggesting a methodology that includes a grade of positive, neutral, or negative when it comes to the environment or climate change. And the grade is based on assessments in 5 different areas. So one is climate change, or be specific, climate mitigation, meaning will the project increase or reduce greenhouse gases? Number 2, climate adaptation. Does the project prepare us for extreme weather events? Number 3 is biodiversity. Does the project provide a gain in biodiversity or a loss of biodiversity? Number 4, how does it impact human health? Does it improve or harm human health? And then the last one is the cost of climate inaction, or looking at it another way as the benefits of cost avoidance. And this last criteria is going to be a challenge to put a price tag on climate breakdown or on proactively avoiding the cost of an issue. This will be a challenge, and we're hoping that we can help by raising awareness of how climate breakdown is resulting in increased property damage, crop failures, supply chain issues around the world, and how that is already increasing our cost of insurance, our cost of food, our cost of healthcare, and increasing taxes here in Thorold, as well as everywhere else in Ontario. And I'll just, one more thing before I get off my soapbox for the day is basically we need to realize that the natural world has value, that everything that we have comes from a stable climate and a healthy earth. Things that we take for granted, fresh air, clean water, nutritional soil, and even every single material that we use for shelter, for medicine, for tools, including all the raw materials used in our economy. All these things come from a healthy earth. So for us to thrive, the natural world needs to be recognized and valued. So that's the message that we're trying to put through there. And I understand that for city staff to consider all this while trying to get the job done is a challenge. So we also included in the meeting materials two examples of what an impact assessment could look like. One is for putting in a new asphalt parking lot, which, as you can guess, we have put as a net negative grade for environment and climate. And the other project example is for a native tree planting initiative, which, again, you can guess would have a net positive grade for climate and the environment. Oh, sorry, Stuart, I didn't see your hand up. Go ahead.
Oh, I just have a question, but I can wait till you're done speaking.
Okay,
first, if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, just the last thing I was going to say is that our next steps at this point is to socialize this proposed guideline with city staff. This was done by our committee, and we have not even discussed it with city staff yet, just to be clear. So that's something we're going to do next to see what's realistic and where there's areas that need beefing up, and then we'll update the document accordingly. And that was it. So go ahead, Stuart.
I appreciate this document a lot. I think this is a really good way for city staff to start looking at and considering these things and making sure they're top of mind. I think aloud sometimes. I want to kind of think a little bit through how this works when they get this. So someone has a asphalt parking lot being put in somewhere, and that's part of the plan, and they go through this and they, okay, well, we know this is a net negative. I'm wondering if we should be giving, yeah, we can't do this for everything because there's too many potential situations, but like potential alternatives or ideas about how to do this, right? Because it's one thing it's one thing for someone to kind of acknowledge that there's a net negative, but it's a question of, so now what? I mean, maybe that goes as part of this, if it becomes a city policy, that it goes with a council report when a decision's being made, that, and we've done an environmental assessment and we recognize that this is a net negative, and you don't want to see a trend there. Obviously, there's going to be some developments that happen that necessarily aren't positive. I'm trying to think my way through, is this meant to be more of an exercise for us, for staff to be considering these things, and maybe earlier on start making decisions that change the course of things slightly? Or is it more of an exercise just so that we have people are going through it and they're just kind of acknowledging what the costs or benefits are?
Yeah, so it's a good question, and I'm trying to visualize this, how this would work as well. And if you look at if a project is net negative, so what does it mean? So first of all, we're acknowledging that this is not helping the climate situation, as an example. So it's good to have that acknowledgement, and perhaps if a few of these reports are going through and we're seeing that the trend is that they're always negative, then maybe we need to think something has to change. However, I'm concerned that that if projects are always coming up negative, then it's just a what's the word? I used to do some software development, and at one point I developed a program that if you hit the wrong key, it made a sound, a beep.
Oh, okay.
And the feedback that I got was, "What are you doing? We don't want to use the program anymore because it keeps beeping at us." Right? So I want to be cognizant of that potential problem. And so this is like the starting point, Stuart, but you're absolutely right. We need to think this through a bit. I would, of course, would like to see projects coming through that are more positive or neutral. But I think the first step is awareness. Awareness that, every time we put in another parking lot that's not permeable, that it causes problems for the environment. Every time we take nature out of the equation and we're paving over or building on a spot that has trees, we're decreasing the city's ability to absorb carbon. We're decreasing the ability of the city to manage floods. If we're going to build on a floodplain, as is being proposed right where I live, out my window, up on Merritt Road there, I mean, this is going to be problematic. We're going to put in a big highway there, and it's already a floodplain that floods every spring. So what's going to happen? So we need to be aware of these things before. And by the way, that's a regional initiative, not a municipal initiative. Anyways, so yeah, I'm going to make a note of that, Stuart, and that's something that we'll have to. What I need is realistic feedback from the city, right? So what can be done realistically, and what does it mean?
Sorry,
what we've seen, sorry, just let me finish my thought. What we've seen is, and I'm picking on the parking lots because I've seen some parking lot projects coming through that are saying it's positive environmental assessment, and I just don't get that. So, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, Councillor, I didn't put my hand.
Do you want to finish your thought, or should I go to?
Sure. I was just going to say, I think that this is a really good. I don't want to be critical, because I think that what's required is a cultural change, right? And it's it has to start somewhere where people are acknowledging this and thinking about this. But it's a little bit something like I'd equate it to almost like health and safety, where you don't. If it stops here, then there's a potential that it becomes like a checkbox thing. It's like, we did the things we had to do. But we wanted to move into a culture where people are actively thinking about this and how do we improve this, so that it's not just we did the bare minimum or we did this exercise acknowledging that this was happening, but we started making changes so that we made it, if it was a health and safety case, a safer environment. In this case, it's a projects that have more positive impacts.
Right. Agreed. Thank you for your input. Councillor O'Hare?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I really love this conversation. I think there's some really good points that are being touched upon here. And I agree with Stuart too that it should be something almost used analytically as an introductory work, because if we address it as an item that has to be researched and you know, with requiring answers that are well thought out and argumentative. I mean, we have to be realistic about the time frame that staff has to deal with this. So I think in the beginning, we should be clear with some of the goals or points that we're trying to look at. And then from that information, we should amass all of that knowledge and experience from what we're getting back from staff. And then we might be more inclined to produce a much better document that is streamlined and able to be effective for staff and for the committee, so that we can, as Stuart says, also start to have a shift in the whole culture of what can we do for the environment, and is this something we should be looking at a bit closer. So I love the project. I think it should be introduced, and the first part, especially this being an election year, would probably just be you know, tabulations, and then we can discuss results and make greater suggestions from that point on. So that's my perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's well thought out. I agree. I'm not sure exactly where this is going to go, but this is the starting point. So we'll be working. Hopefully, we'll be working with the city in the spring on this. Okay. If there's no other, is there any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Stuart and Councillor Hare, for your input there. I'm going to move on to item 7.3. All right, so this is requesting the city to update us on what's happened with our recommended tree list and our boulevard gardens initiatives. So my understanding is that city staff have taken a look at our tree list and they're making them more presentable, so to speak. We did like an Excel spreadsheet with a bunch of columns, and that's being made more presentable by the city before it's placed on the website, and its availability announced. As for the plant list, I understand that the current direction is to create an amendment under our Clean Yards bylaw to accommodate the pollinator gardens, boulevard gardens, and fall winter naturalized lawns. I personally think it needs more than that, but hey, whatever it takes is good with me. So in Jay's absence, Courtney, are you willing to talk a bit about this?
Hi, yes, Chair. Thank you. I don't think I have too much more to add, as I've just been assisting Jay with formatting the table. We're almost done. I might have some follow-up questions about some of the acronyms in the table, but been combining some of the columns to try and maintain as much information as possible, but formatting it onto an 11 by 17 inch size paper so that it is printable and still legible, because it was a lot of really great information. So yeah, trying to maintain all that as much as possible. Yeah, as much as we can, so that people can access all of this information. And then I think the other thing for the table is to integrate your tree planting and maintenance guidelines that you shared with Jay into it. So it's one single helpful document and source.
Sounds good. So yeah, we can work on that mid to end of February if you're around. And
yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Are there any questions or comments on that item? Nothing more. Thanks, Courtney. All right, so with that, we're going to go to roundtable discussion to see if there's any other items that we missed today that we should have mentioned. I'm just going to go around in the order I see people on the screen. Linda, do you have any questions or comments?
Not at this time.
All right, thank you. And you're going to be good for your 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
Councillor O'Hare?
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. Stuart?
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to add.
Thank you. Brian?
No, just that I'm new to the city and I am looking forward to working with you guys. So
Sounds good. Same back at you. Joe?
thank you.
You're good? Jacob?
All good, thank you, Chair.
Thanks. Councillor Longo?
Nothing, thanks, Chair.
Okay. We heard from Courtney. I'm not sure who Alex is. Ratna?
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to add at this point.
All right. Thank you. Okay, our next meeting will be held. Oh, sorry, Justin, I saw you pop up and there's your hand. Go ahead.
Yes, I just have a item that we're looking to possibly doing for the next term of council regarding committees and so forth. We're just starting early now to look at what potential committees a new council might want and what we're going to propose. And one thought we were contemplating or thinking about here was possibly taking the Parks Committee and the Environment Committee and possibly putting them together. And the reason for this, I found that since the Environment Committee has been created this term, we've been getting a lot of crossover between items from the Environment Committee and the Parks Committee, especially in this past year. I find more so with staff items that need to come to both committees, or we've been seeing that happen more so. And we think that by merging them, that'll help to just go to one committee and to help speed up some of the process for those types of items. We're thinking if we did merge it, we're thinking maybe around, 13 members with potentially 2 councillors meeting every month. Probably have meetings scheduled for the daytime, not at 7 o'clock at night. So those are just some initial thoughts, and just wanted to bring this here and then also to the Parks Committee and see if anyone has any thoughts on that. Yeah, so that's about it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Justin. My initial thought is it kind of makes sense. I know that when I've been looking at, for example, our Greening Thorold initiative, when our next step is going to be looking at rewilding certain areas that are city property. And when I look at that, a lot of them are parks. So, what's the objectives of the Parks Committee versus what we're trying to accomplish? We need to work with them before we start, deciding that we can plant trees in a park. So from that one example, it would make sense. Joe, go ahead.
Sorry. Jacob, or Justin, rather, I think it's a heck of an idea. It's something I've been quietly discussing with friends and people on other committees and whatnot for some time. I'm saying this a little bit tongue in cheek. If assuming they are combined, we'd have to have some sort of way of reporting that there's a minority report opposed to the main report. I'm only saying this because, and it doesn't happen often, but being on both committees, I have run into occasions where one committee wants to do one thing, but it's totally against what the other committee wants done. Little things like, I don't know, trees versus parking at parks. We run into that every now and again. Anyway, that's just my little bit of input to what you're saying, and having a meeting every month would be nice.
Yeah, and I think, Joe, I would hope that we can be unbiased, if that's the right word. Like, so when I look at, there's a park right near me, Merritt Meadows, and I see this beautiful big field there, and I thought, oh, that would be a great idea to rewild that, put in all sorts of trees and plants and everything. And then I find out that the Parks Committee is looking to put in all sorts of different courts and all this and that. So we have to combine our objectives. and hopefully we can come up with not compromises, but win-wins, right? Like literally we get what we want from the parks side and we get what we want from the nature side. I would hope that would happen, but
That's exactly what I was getting at.
and I know we need parking. It's a matter of, do we really need parking for a small park that's only used by the neighborhood? I mean, can't they walk? Like, but if it's a bigger park that is accessed from other areas, yeah, I get it, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Another minor example would be one park that's under consideration. Certain people within the area wanted a large fence put up along one side because they're worried about animals coming in. Now, I was against that for various reasons, mostly because I didn't want to see animals get trapped on the wrong side of the fence.
Exactly.
But in some respects, it is contrary to rewilding to put up the fence anyway, even for
Agreed.
safety reasons. And from a park's point of view, if I've never seen anything about costs for various permeable parking lots other than just leaving them as gravel. From a park's perspective, it would be a tough call if, for the sake of argument, it was going to cost an extra, and I'm pulling this number out of the air, $20,000 to put in a permeable parking lot versus asphalt, at the expense of not having something else that the park was designed to have. I can't give you a great example for that, but let's say kids slides and whatnot. All of a sudden sometimes actually you do have to compromise on which way you're going.
Yeah, so Joe, that's an interesting one that maybe I'm going to make a note of that and talk about that when we look at the impact assessment, the environment and climate impact assessment, because that is a great discussion that we need to have. Is, yes, I know a permeable parking lot costs more than an asphalt parking lot, probably twice as much. However, if we put asphalt everywhere, then you've got to increase all your public sewers. You've got to increase, and insurance goes up for houses. I mean, this is the discussion we have to have, is what's the cost of continuing to pave over natural infrastructure that is helping us avoid disasters. So we have to find a way to put a number on that, so that when we look at a parking lot, we don't say, well, it's cheaper to do asphalt and that's it. It's not cheaper. In my view, it's more expensive because of the downstream effects of putting in asphalt. So, but we have to come to a technical way of quantifying that.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
which is another good reason to have both committees, even if they were not officially combined, having joint sessions periodically.
Yeah, that'd be good too. Joint sessions, they're separate committees, and joint sessions would be good as well.
Okay, that was good discussion, Justin. Thanks for bringing that up. And you said that would be for the next term, meaning 2027-ish.
Yeah, so if this happens, it would be for the following term for council to consider. Of course, it's up to them if they want to do that, of course, or not, the new council.
Understood. Thank you. Okay. With that, our next meeting is going to be held on April 10th. Sounds like a long way away, but we do have our working groups going, and I think we'll get a fair amount accomplished before then. All right, there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 10:53 on January 23rd, 2026. Thank you all.